Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. And I do want to forewarn you guys, if you watched my last video, I do have a cold, so I'm sorry for all the heavy breathing that you may hear, and it just sounds so nasty. I do apologize. But since I'm off of work for a whole month on vacation, I kind of want to crank out videos every day. So if you could bear with me, I'd really appreciate it. So let's get into the video. Oh, that was so nasty. I'm so sorry. So today, my first video is going to be about The Witches 2020. And I just have a few things to say because I'm going to be comparing the 1990s version versus the new version. And there's just a few things I want to applaud, and then I also want to nitpick at the same time. So my first gripe is with the new one. They took away the backstory of us seeing the young boy, which I always love when they flip it. Like if it used to be a white story, now, well, not a white story, but there was a white little boy. Now he's a black little boy. I can appreciate that, with the black grandma. Cool. Kudos for that. But they took away the backstory. Like I said, like, we don't get to see the young boy interacting with his parents. We see pictures of them together, but we don't actually get to see them, hanging out together, or him actually spending time with his grandma. We see, what's the beginning? The beginning is him being pulled out of the car that his parents, are dead in, and he walks away like basically unscathed. Well, there's no physical harm to him, of course. Mental, but we not doing that. That's a kid's movie. We ain't talking about all that. And so then we have his grandma picking him up from the police station, like, come on, boy, let's go. And my only gripe with that is, like I said, we don't get to see him with his parents, even with the grandma, before he has to go live with her. And it's like, in the first story, you got all that. You got the family dynamic. You got them being silly together. And, like them coming to visit grandma, going out on the town for a night. And unfortunately, something happens. With this one, like, he's actually in the car with them, and he has to see that. So I felt the way about that. And then, what's my other gripe? There's no, like, love between the grandma and the grandson. Of course, he's sad that he lost his parents and he had to see it. But then also, like, the grandma, who was played by Octavia Spencer, and the young boy, they changed his name from Luke to Hero, which I do not understand because I don't like Hero as a name. I don't like that. And like the voiceover, the way it starts is Chris Rock, and I kind of don't like that either. And my other gripe is Octavia Spencer is always playing like old-fashioned movies, like the 1960s, 1970s, and I just wish they would have put her like in the now time zone, because I believe, and this is no shade to her, but isn't she grandma age? She could play a grandma of today and be just fine. Because Anne Hathaway, who plays the Grand High Witch, like, those look like women of today. Well, she did anyway. The way her clothes looked on her, those would be today's fashion, not late 1960s, early 1970s fashion. So I have a problem with that. And like I was saying, because at one point, while young Hero is still grieving, he doesn't want to eat. He don't feel like talking. He's just sitting in the house off to his cell. And she brings him into the kitchen to have dinner. But it's this huge... I felt the way about this scene, and I don't know why. But it was like a huge piece of cornbread. And I'm just like, I don't care what time frame it is. Who is just gonna sit there and eat that big ass piece of cornbread like that? Like, there's no reason for that cornbread to be that big. But in that scene, she grabs a picture of young hero's mom was her daughter, and she kind of like didn't give no attention to the daddy, but she was just like, you see this picture? And it was his mom in her cap and gown, I believe, and she was like, this was my baby. And you know, I'm not sitting around questioning God on why things happen, and you know, I would give anything to have her here with me right now. But do you think what I'm supposed to do, just walk around feel sorry for you? I said, what grandma talk to her grandbaby like that? Which one? Please point me in the direction. And I was like, I just didn't like that. I'm not trying to make it a race thing, but it's just like, how do we get the 1990s version? Well, I guess you could make it a race thing, you know, like them being so sweet and connected, and then we have Grandma Octavia and Hero, and they basically just two strangers passing in the night that just got to make this work. And then the other thing I didn't like was how they changed the grandma's story of how she knows about the witches. Because Grandma Octavia, her friend turned into a chicken. And I was like, I don't get it. Because the story is much more interesting of you seeing your friend in a picture. And it's like over the years, you can tell like she's moving from picture to picture or different parts of the picture because she's still alive. She's just, you know, trapped inside the picture frame. And, you know, unfortunately, like, she lives a very long life, but she dies in the picture to this chicken that I'm pretty sure at some point they killed and ate. So it's just like, y'all made this way more morbid than it needs to be, like, if you actually think about it. But I guess, you know, these are... But even as a kid, like, I thought about things like this because when I first watched the movie, that I went on Twitter, I was like, let me just see what people are thinking about this movie. And a lot of people were like, how are y'all critiquing a movie so hard that's meant for children? And it's just like, even as a kid, I thought about stuff. I would, you know, critique movies. I didn't know it was critiquing back then, but I was sitting there like, that don't too much make sense, and that's a lot, you know. And it's just like, so you can't just say, oh, it's for kids. Kids don't know. No, kids are very smart. Well, some are, and you know, others just want to have fun and whatever. But it's just like, okay, like, I just find a problem with that, because it's just like, so eventually this family who was looking for their daughter, it's just like all of a sudden now they just have a really big chicken that they're just gonna cut up and eat. So it's like they don't know that they're eating their daughter, but the little girl does. And then my other critique is the CGI with the, well, I was about to call them nurses, with the witches. Because, like, now they have Joker grins where it reaches out to here. So when they go into witch mode, their mouth opens up and they have teeth. What is that thing called? Is it venom? I think it's venom. And then also, like, it, like the clown. That's why I said, like the Joker, like it, Pennywise, I think. Because I'm not really into horror, so I try not to know the names of stuff like that. But it's like, if we're supposed to believe, like, they can act as women in the daytime, who is not going to question why, when all these women get together, they all have this same, you know, like, mark around their mouth that's also like stitches drawn into it. It's like, who's not gonna question that? And then, like, supposedly when they're smelling for little kids, like, their noses, you know, like, go out to here. And it's, they have gloves on all the time, I guess, to give the illusion that they have 5 fingers. But when they pull off the gloves, they only have, what, 3? And I didn't understand that. And then, like, 1 toe. Well, the Grand High Witch had 1 toe on each foot. The rest of them didn't have any. And it's just like, but that's like the main story anyway. I don't know. I didn't get it. It was just like, if we're supposed to believe that they can blend in with society, why are y'all going out y'all way to make them not blend in? So it's like, nobody's gonna, I would always question it. I'm like, what's wrong with her? And then at the end, they stayed mice, because I was gonna say they stayed mouse, and they stayed mice. And I didn't understand. Oh, because, like in the first one, you know, the Grand High Witch, she had like a secretary or an assistant, if you would. But in this one, I think like she did have that, but they all turned into mice themselves when they ate the soup, like every single one of them, except for the Grand High Witch. And when they turned into mice, them things was ugly. They had hair missing, like patches. It was really just mostly skin with a few patches of hair, and they were bigger than like what Luke and Hero, excuse me, his mouse Mare, he called her Daisy, but then he found out that she was once a girl herself, and her name was actually Mary. And Bruce, like, they just look like regular mice. These look like rodents, and it was just like, ugh. But all in all, it was a good movie. It was just like little things I just wanted to nitpick here and there, and it's just like, you could have just remade it exactly how it was, because it's like I said, they took away the backstory in the beginning, and it's kind of like you took some of the love out the movie, if you will. Like, I love that they were black. Excuse me. I did love that. But then it was just like, you kind of made them hard and unfeeling. And they got lovey-dovey at the end. But then that's another thing. You could tell, like, I don't know. Because it's just like, what am I really complaining about? But it's like when she does her hand like this up to her face, it's supposed to be her and her grandson, you know, like snuggling up to each other. It's like the way she has her hand, it's like, I don't know. But I'd give it a 5 out of 10 compared to the original version. Anyway, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see you later. Peace.